Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Team FTK's YuGiOh channel. And please keep in mind, if you want to get one of these amazing custom playmats, check out Inked Gaming and enter the promo code TEAMFTK10. It has beautiful stitch sides and a high quality rubber backing.
What's up everybody in YuGiOh YouTube land? Well, that last video really got my engines revving. So what we're going to be talking about today is engines in YuGiOh. So if y'all don't know, what an engine is in YuGiOh is basically a 3 to 9 card engine that you can splash into different decks to help give you a better matchup against certain other decks or to make your deck like a little more spicy. So what I'm going to be talking about today is basically just spicy engines and decks. So cards that you can splash into decks and, you know, throw a little spice in there. If this video in any way helps you guys out and you like it, make sure to give it a big thumbs up. Ring the bell for more notifications. And check us out on PayPal, Patreon. Links are in the description. Also Discord in the description. So let's get into it. First, I wanted to talk about artifacts. So artifacts are a very splashable engine, especially in any like rogue and anti-meta deck. And their main monsters that they utilize are going to be Artifact Scythe and Artifact Moraltac. Artifact Moraltac is there to disrupt plays, and Artifact Scythe is there to interrupt your opponent from going into the extra deck. So anything that would fusion summon, link summon, XYZ, synchro, or I think I said links already, but anything that would basically use the extra deck mechanic is why we play Scythe. And all of these cards are easily special summoned out by Artifact Sanctum, which is really cheap, and everything on this list is going to be cheap, so like maybe that will help too. And Artifact Sanctum special summons out the artifacts from the deck, so it's easy to play maybe like a 6-card engine. If you want to play 2 Scythes, 1 Moraltac, and then play 3 Sanctums, you very well easily can. You can play this in decks like Trickstars, you can play this in decks like Yosenjus, and even if you want to like be bold and play it in a deck like Mermails, you can, just because you're going to set a trap card face down, pass your turn, your opponent's going to go to link spam, they're going to summon a monster, summon another monster, you flip that bad boy, you bring out that Scythe, and you cut off your opponent's plays just like that. So artifacts are definitely a very viable engine to run in the game. So then we have another engine that's similar to artifacts in the way that it was used and came out around the same time, way back in the day, and I'm talking about Fire and Ice Hands. So Fire and Ice Hands are level 4 monsters. One is Pyro, one's Aqua, and basically if one gets destroyed, one summons the other. If the Fire Hand gets destroyed, it pops a monster your opponent controls. If the Ice Hand gets destroyed, it pops a back row your opponent controls, and they special summon each other. So basically if you're playing a deck that lacks the ability to destroy an opponent's monster or destroys an opponent's back row, such as maybe like Chain Burn, then you can easily tech in this engine of Fire and Ice Hands, because you can play any of these in side deck or main deck, but they're engines that you can put into your deck that will help you a little bit more. So basically you play your Fire and Ice Hands in a deck like Chain Burn, or Volcanics for instance is a really good deck to play Fire and Ice Hands, because you can recycle your Fire Hands with your Royal Stormguard, which is really good. And they have a lot of synergy in case you're playing a deck where you don't normally pop back row. Like if you don't want to play Twin Twisters and Chain Burn because you don't want to discard your Just Desserts for no reason, then you can be like, oh, okay, I want to play an Ice Hand, set my Ice Hand face down, opponent thinks it's a Marshmallow, they run into it, you pop their back row, special summon a Fire Hand, and then goes on for there. Also, what you can do with Fire and Ice Hands is if your opponent has a monster and you're not big enough to attack over it, you can normal summon your Fire Hand, attack into your opponent's monster, it gets destroyed, it gets the effect, pops your opponent's monster, special summon the Ice Hand on field, so then you have another monster there ready to hit another card. Then you can destroy your Ice Hand if you want to, pop back row, bring out another, monster, as simple as that, to pop another monster. So I think Fire and Ice Hands are really good, and they're an engine that aren't seeing very much play in today's meta, but I definitely think that people could side them, main deck them. Really good engine. So The next engine that I want to talk about is Invoked. So Invoked is a spellcaster engine that basically allows you to fusion summon by manipulating attributes. So they have a wind one, they have a water one, I believe. They have a light one that's really good, and you can use your opponent's graveyard to fusion summon, and all of their fusion spells are searchable. You have Invocation, which is searchable with Alistair, and Magical Meltdown searches Alistair, so that's really good. It's one card to search another. So you could easily play that in a deck, and they have a lot of synergy with other decks. Like you could play it as an engine in Light Sworns, for instance, to get Macabre unfilled faster, which is really good. Invoked has a lot of synergy. You can play it in just about any deck, but you want to focus on more of the light decks. So if you wanted to make like an Invoked Mech Knight Trickstar deck, those are 3 engines that are very splashable right there. So I'm going to go ahead and skip ahead to Mech Knights. So Mech Knights are basically monsters that revolve around special summoning to different columns. There's one that's like red, there's a purple one, there's indigo. There's all different ones, and they're really cool and they're versatile, and they're really good for making big link boards. So you can splash them in with a lot of things. Like I said before, you can splash them in with Invoked. You can splash them in with Trickstars. I've even seen people splash them in with like Senjus and stuff like that, because they're free summons. They're really good in Crusadias as well. So there's a lot of good options to play with Mech Knights. And yeah, that's one of the engines that I like is Mech Knights right now. So another card that I wanted to talk about that just got recently put to 1 on the ban list that basically makes a whole engine in of itself is the Brilliant Fusion engine. I know what you guys are thinking. It's not as consistent at 1 as it is at 3. So basically we have to play cards to substitute for that. So we have the Predaplant engine. So it's a bunch of dark plants, and we play them to search out our Brilliant Fusion. So it's an engine inside of an engine. So it's like a bunch of engines, you know, like what they used to call Native American people, like back when everybody was racist, like, no. Anyways, you play Brilliant Fusion to get an additional normal summon off of Seraphinite. So you have to play Garnet, and you also play like a Performapal engine. So there's like 3 different engines now, and there's a whole different mixture. So it's playing Predaplants, playing Brilliant Fusion, and it's playing Performages. So playing Performages in with your Brilliant Fusion and in with your Predaplants is really good because you get the consistency. I keep messing up, baby. So the reason you want to play the Brilliant Fusion engine in the deck is because you get the additional normal summon off of Seraphinite, and that's really busted in decks that can utilize that additional normal summon. So for instance, you can use it in Light Sworns. Light Sworns need to have 2 monsters on field to be able to make Minerva. So Brilliant Fusion is one of those cards where you can play it in zombies, you can play it in a lot of different types of decks. So running that engine is really good, and running it with the Predaplants is really good. So I want to take a moment to talk about the Performage engine and talk about their mixtures and how you can play them. So you can play it with Juggler, Hat Tricker, and Trick Clown. I believe those are the names, but you can play it with all 3 of those clowns, and they have amazing synergy together, especially having Juggler being able to search them, and Hat Tricker being able to special summon itself from hand is really good, and it lets you get into a lot of like overlay plays and link plays. So if you want to run just like a small engine of rank 4 monsters to get into more crazy shenanigans with, definitely the Performage engine is one of those to include. And you can also run them with Thousands Blade, Heroic Challenger Thousands Blade, and that is a Clown Blade engine, and it's really good because if you have your Trick Clown in graveyard and it triggers, you pay 1,000 life points, special summon it back. It also triggers the effect of the Thousands Blade, so you get to special summon 2 monsters for free. So that's really good, so I would suggest playing that in a deck like Mermals as well. But you can also play it in decks like Madolches and stuff like that that need extra monsters in the graveyard, and you can use it to basically get into more combos to advance your plays, which is really good. So what I wanted to talk about is a different kind of engine in Yu-Gi-Oh! That I haven't talked about yet, and that's a draw engine. So all decks need a good draw engine, and I'm not talking about just running your standard Pot of Duality, Pot of Desires, everybody has a legal pot card. Like what I'm talking about is running a monster that searches out a spell, or a spell that searches out a monster that then lets you draw cards, and I'm talking about spellbooks. So spellbooks is a great example of a deck that does just that. You have a card that searches out your blue boy. Your blue boys can search out the new or the newest spellbook card, which lets you tribute a spellcaster and draw 2 cards, which is really good. You can play it in Dark Magicians, you can play it in spellbooks, you can play it in Altergeist if you even wanted to. I don't know why you would want to play an Altergeist, but you could. But you could also splash in just the blue boy and the draw card in decks like Volcanics, because you do need your normal summon, but not all the time do you want to normal summon Rocket. So if you want to normal summon that bad boy, search for your spellbook card, activate it, draw 2 cards. That's just fine. It's really good to have a consistent draw engine in a deck because it allows you to thin out your deck more and more. So if you wanted to play this in a deck like Exodia, that's no problem. What were you going to normal summon in the first place? You can easily normal summon Blue Boy, search for the spell, sack them off, get two cards in your hand faster. There's so many decks that could just play that because Yu-Gi-Oh! Doesn't normal summon hardcore like it used to. I don't feel like every deck in Yu-Gi-Oh! Needs a normal summon. I feel like Trickstars really need their normal summon. What else really needs their normal summon in today's meta? Another one that I wanted to talk about is Dinosaurs. So I think Dinosaurs is a really good engine.
I was saying dinosaurs need their normal summon.
Yeah, Dinosaurs do need their normal summon.
Not that they, but no, you can't put in a dinosaur engine.
You can put in a dinosaur engine in certain decks. So you can put dinosaurs in with Dangers, which is really good. And you can also put dinosaurs in with Burning Abyss and Light Sworns to make an interesting engine. Because when Overtakes is sent to the graveyard, he lets you add Evolution Pill. And all you need for the requirements of Evolution Pill is to banish a dinosaur monster and a non-dinosaur type monster. So basically, what happens is you get to banish those 2 and special summon an Ultimate Conductor from your hand. So even though Dinosaurs is like a broken archetype, you can also add them in as an engine because you can play them in decks like Dangers, Light Sworns, Burning Abyss. So it makes them a secondary engine as well. And all you would really need to run is like 3 Soul Eating Raptor, 1 Overtax, maybe 2 Overtax, and then 3 Ultimate Conductor. That's all you would really need. You could run it as an engine in just random decks like that. You can also run it with Paleozoics, which is a good engine to run it in. And I think Dinosaurs is one of the best decks like this format in terms of like tier 2 Rogue. Definitely one of the best decks. So this was my personal list for engines in Yu-Gi-Oh! If you guys have any engines that you want to mention that I might have left out, any engines that you feel like are your favorite, please let me know down in the comment section. Also make sure to like, comment, subscribe for more videos. This is Jesse Byrne, represent Team FTK, out.